This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
This is Creepy Soup on the PFC Entertainment Network.
Network. I am Jill. I almost did it.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah. But I am Jill.
I am Jenny.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. Sorry I was gone so long.
And just to throw this out here, if you became a fan of Judy, do not fear. She is still going to be very much part of it. We're going to be dropping 2 episodes now per week, one with Jenny and I and one with Judy and I. So now you get double me. And if you're a fan of Power Tripping through the 80s, right now I'm filling in over there as well.
Lots of hats for you.
Yeah. And I'm okay with it. Like I'm like, doing the Power Tripping, Jason's the one that comes up with lists. I just got to comment on my thoughts on it. That's it. There's like really no, like that is all fun. There's no, I don't want to say no real work because Jason's the one putting in the work. But for me, there's no real work. I just have to give an opinion. Yeah. But it's been fun. It's been fun.
Awesome. My fun has been playing in makeup. But it's been very therapeutic for me. So it's helped.
Now, and I don't remember if we talked about this last week or not, but Judy had come across and she was like, does she do tutorials? Because I have to know how she does this. Like, she just kind of went on and on a little bit about like, and she's like, I had to start following her because if she does these tutorials, I want to see them.
Yeah, I don't typically do tutorials. I have a tendency to get caught up in the moment when I'm doing the look that like I'll start and then all of a sudden, or like, you start and you're like, okay, do this, and then you pause and do it on the other eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a tendency to just keep going.
Okay.
And so then by the time I remember to hit record again, I'm 3 steps ahead.
I get it. I would probably be the same way. And in fact, I told Judy, I'm like, I really would like to start making some TikTok content. I know I have been reposting a lot of things lately, but I really need to find what I think, okay, you know about my whole alter ego fucking Minerva, right?
Yeah.
Well, fucking Minerva has been making herself known a lot lately.
Oh.
So I actually thought about making a TikTok page for fucking Minerva, like where I fuck with Roy.
There you go.
Not showing him on camera, but just because I don't think he would appreciate that because he doesn't even like it when we post, like I post a picture of him. But
And that's
like
fine. And you know what? Honestly, if he does end up accidentally being in a video, you could always put something over his face,
yeah,
so no one would know that it was him.
yeah. So, but I've thought about that because there's sometimes I get
Yeah,
him bad.
I
There's
know,
sometimes I
and that would be
get him
hilarious.
bad. And fucking Minerva does come out at work, but inside the building, I couldn't do that because we're not supposed to take pictures or anything inside the building.
Right.
People do for like um when it's a specific day and you're supposed to wear a specific shirt kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just or someone's retiring, something like that.
Not gonna lie, I've been given permission a few times to take pictures on the gaming floor or to take my phone on the gaming floor, but otherwise we're not supposed to. Though there have been a few of us who've taken pictures like with our lockers in the background and stuff. So,
Hmm. Yeah, honestly, for work, my phone for work is just purely my own entertainment. Whether it's an audio book, I can't, again, I can't watch anything, but I can listen. Um, so it's a lot of like true crime stuff. I would say paranormal, but that you have to watch.
yeah,
You gotta see that. So,
yeah, you do. I wish I could listen. Um, like I think my earbuds would work for the whole round. However, once the door closes, the connection is gone.
yeah, yeah.
It's one of
Like
those kind of things.
there's a guy at work that when we go, like if he's at the picnic table, because we both like vape at the same time sometimes, um, and he'll be like, "When you get out here, do you have problems with Netflix?" No. He said, "In there, I've got no issues, but out here, I've got no fucking signal." That's weird because I've never had that issue.
Yeah. Ours just kind of sucks everywhere.
Yeah.
Inside, outside, it don't matter. Some people get good reception, some people don't.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been on the shitty end.
Yeah. I know my job offers Wi-Fi, but I know that also gives them access to my shit, and that's gonna be a no for me. So, I haven't used their Wi-Fi in about 5 years, and I've got unlimited data, so I don't really fucking care.
Yeah, see, I'm in the sticks, so actual service is shit. Um, so you have to count on the Wi-Fi.
Mm,
However, we have like the customer Wi-Fi that everybody hooks up to,
mm.
and that's kind of part of the problem is everybody hooks up to it.
So it slows it way down. Yep, yep. I
Yeah.
got you there. Um, hmm. Oh, um, speaking of special t-shirts, um, you can buy Creepy Soup t-shirts, bath towels, fleece, blankets, shower curtains, laptop cases. And you can find all of that if you go to pfccreepysoup.printify.me. Or right now, Jason has the holiday stuff out, which is PFC Holidays at or pfcholidays.printify.me. And then, of course, the regular PFC store with like everything, which is PFC, no, yep, pfcstore.printify.me. Thanks. Yeah, sometimes, although those are hard to memorize. But I
Hmm.
think as of right now, we are the only show that has our own store
Oh,
front.
okay.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
cool.
exciting. I do believe he plans on doing it with the rest of them. Um, so that'll be exciting. Yeah. I briefly put on one of our shirts yesterday. My plan was to wear it the whole day to honor Dan, who had a birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday.
And, I took okay, I don't know if you were on the page and saw it, but Bentley took a picture of me so I could point at the We Love Dan. Like right now I'm pointing at Eminem because, um, but I was pointing at the We Love Dan and smiling, and it looks like a giant is taking my picture because he is so fucking tall.
My son is this tall to me.
Mm.
Well, literally, here. He's right at the base of my skull.
Yeah, it's you know what? Neither of my kids are taller than me. My son is like the same height as me. Judy's a little bit shorter than me. Um, I've never had to discipline somebody while looking up at them. So it's very weird for me.
He's the last one that's still shorter than me.
Yeah.
All of my children are taller than I am.
Yeah. The only person in the house that he is not taller than is Papa. But I don't think that's going to be that long, and they're going to be eye to eye, and then he's going to surpass. Roy is probably the shortest male in his family, and I want to say he's like 5'10" or 5'11".
Oh, wow.
His dad is over 6 feet tall. His brother's over 6 feet tall. Both of his grandpas were very tall. My brother's over 6 feet tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Both my brothers over 6 feet tall. Uncles over 6 feet tall. My mom was 5'9". However, my dad was 5'5".
mm,
And all of his brothers were under 5'8".
okay. So we know where you
Oh,
got your
yeah, thanks, Dad. Yep, shortest one.
bear.
Yep.
Um,
He used to always tell me big things come in small packages, like dynamite.
yeah. Yep. Um, you know, obviously my brother saw my mom, I want to say she was like 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", so she was taller than me. Yeah, I mean, and so I understand Judy's frustration, like with the other adults all being taller. And I get that frustration because I was that shortest adult in the family. Yeah, it's
Yeah, every time I see my one nephew, he's always like, "Hey, Aunt Jenny," and then he puts his arm on my head.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, thanks, kid. He's been doing this since he was like 12. Oh no, grade 10.
Well, with
He's
Ben being 13 and taller than me, I just know by the time he's done growing, he's going to be probably 6 feet or more. So yeah,
Yeah, sounds like it.
that's something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it interesting how our parents and whatnot, you can see where you get the certain traits and things like that.
Yeah,
So I always think that's interesting, anyways.
yeah, it's definitely something because, like I said, like my brother Roy's dad, my dad was tall.
Hmm.
I don't remember his exact height, but my dad was tall. Um, yeah, so um, Bentley's dad um is quite tall, so he didn't really have a choice. So
Nice. Who knows how tall he'll be then?
yeah, I'm waiting.
So that's a nice little tie-in though for my topic, because we go into the history to find out our genetics. Well, our history goes way, way back, and to a place I think most people don't know was one of the first attempts at colonization of the New World, which is Roanoke.
I'm so excited. I am. I'm so excited.
It was a subject that was brought to me by my husband. He found a thing and he's like, "Hey, have you looked into this?" And I was like, "Not recently," which of course caused me to delve into basically the world of history channel and all of that. So that's where all of my sources are from. It's from History Channel, on TV and the web and all of that. So it all came from there. Um, Several experts, though. Let's see, we had Jim and Bill Vieira, Fred Willard, professor of history.
Is that Fred Willard, the actor?
No.
Oh,
No, different Fred Willard. He is the director of the Lost Colony Center. So, yeah, he is a interesting man who has um, a lot of neat stories about different places. But then we have Dr. Jim Sutherland, professor of history, retired from Ribnow University. And then there's a few other ones too, but I'll mention those later. So, but most people know that our life today started in Jamestown, but that's in 1607. In 1587 was the first official attempt. There had been a scouting group prior to that, but the first attempt was actually in Roanoke. It was in August of 1587. And one of America's oldest mysteries, a group of 115 settlers arrived on Roanoke Island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. So I had mentioned that there was a scouting party prior. It was 2 years in 1585, with the intent to form the first permanent English settlement in the New World. After the long journey, though, the settlers had been low on supplies. They had been promised to get fresh supplies every year. However, they had had various hardships and things like that. And so it was decided that Governor, I think it's John. Yep, John White would go back and fetch supplies from their benefactor, then come back and they would get things going, and that he would only be gone for a few months. However, what he didn't know when he left was that Queen Elizabeth had started a war with Spain, and she had called all of the ships at her command into the fleet to fight the Spanish Armada. So Governor White gets stuck for 3 years. Yep. He is at the mercy of the Queen and any captain that he comes across. He's begging and pleading, all across the board. He wants to get back to Roanoke because that's where his wife, his daughter, his friends, the rest of his family, they were all there. He left them there with essentially nothing. And he knows he's got to get back to them. So he finally finds a sympathetic captain and has permission from the Queen, and so he sails back, returning with the supplies. Unfortunately, no one's there. Um, in one instance that I had found, there was skeletal remains of one individual, and in other instances, they didn't mention it, so I'm not 100% on if that was factual. But one thing is for sure, the word Croatoan carved in a post. Now, when I say there's nothing there, like it's literally they had taken all the supplies, anything that they had built was taken down or destroyed. And they're like, well, what happened? And so John is, kind of at a loss. He doesn't know what to do. Um, at the same time, he wants to go looking for them. The captain of the ship is saying, nope, I got to get back out there. The sea is calling. Privateering.
You hear them every Sunday on the PFC network. Now, you can support Jill and Jenny with the brand new store dedicated to creepy soup. From a variety of t-shirts, hoodies, and hats to coffee mugs, towels, and backpacks, there's so many ways to show off your fandom for creepy soup. Head over to PFC Creepy Soup at printify.me for all things creepy soup as part of the PFC Entertainment Network.
Sorry. I didn't know it was going to fully kick me out of here. Do you want to start over or can we clip it or?
I could probably watch back and get Jason will fix it.
Okay.
So I'm at 22, 20. So okay, go ahead.
So, he's like, I need to get back to privateering because that's what he was doing prior to, the war and all of that. And so he's like, look, we're leaving this day, this time. You're coming or you're staying, you know. Gave him the ultimatum. And in the end, because he didn't know where to start, didn't know what to do, and had no clues to go on, he ends up getting back on board and sailing away and going back to England. And he actually passes away in 1593. So he only lasted a few years after going back to England
Yeah.
and never got to find out what happened to his family.
Oh, that would be so hard to die not knowing what happened.
Right. But not only that, his daughter was pregnant when he left. So he had a grandchild he never even got to meet. And so, yeah, and this grandchild is the first child born in the New World.
Okay.
hmm her name, I can tell you that right now. Virginia Dare.
Dare.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's kind of a cool name.
Yep, Virginia Dare was the first child born in the New World. So, what happens now? How do we know about it? Well, because of the fact that he was running all over the place trying to find a captain to take him back to Roanoke, lots of captains knew that there was supposed to be a settlement there. They would, if they were going through the area, they would stop in, see what was there, see what they could find. Um, at one point, one captain, I didn't catch the name of it, and I'm sorry for that, had seen white natives with blonde hair and blue eyes running through the woods. However, no one actually knew for sure. So then we fast forward in time. Sorry. I'll just turn the page. Okay. So in 1937, there were some people doing some work on their land, and they come across this stone. It's got markings on it. They clean it up a little bit, discover it tells a story. And they're like, holy shit, what is this? So they take it to people with big brains, they think. Well, they get all kind of gooey-eyed and go gaga and declare, we know what happened in Roanoke. We've got this stone. It tells us. If you find any more stones, please let us know. We want to come collect them. And all of a sudden, they have a series of 47 stones.
Okay.
So,
On the same people's property?
no,
Okay.
that's the fun part. One person found a total of 41 stones.
Holy crap.
hmm They varied in size, varied in material, and varied in location. However, the first time this person found stones, his name is Eberhard, finds them. He brings them to the university. Says, hey, I found these stones. Isn't it fabulous? Take a picture, put me in the paper.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
attention seeker.
Yep. And then he goes out. Or sorry, they're all excited. They do it. They put them in the paper, all the gooey eyes and all of that. And they say, okay, we appreciate you bringing these here, but next time, please let us know where they are and we will come collect them ourselves. We
Okay,
want to
that makes
see
sense.
where they're being found, if there are potentially other ones around it. What is the exact location on the map? These kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
The things big brains want to know.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, boom, he comes walking in again with more stones. hmm
Mm.
But in the meantime, there's been a small series of other stones that don't quite look the same. The markings are just a little bit different. And they're like, you know what? Doesn't matter. They're all connected. They're all in relation to Roanoke. And the entire group gets labeled the Dare Stones. Because the first stone that was found was signed by Eleanor Dare,
Now
which
would that
was,
be the daughter?
this is John White's daughter, who was married to Ananias Dare. And they're like, okay, we've got all these stones. What's going on? This guy has found all of these. It's starting to get fishy at this point because he has not complied, not a once, to telling them where he's finding them. He's just like, oh, out by whatever river. And initially, they didn't think a whole lot of it, but he's a stone hauler. And so, it's a perfect opportunity to find all of these stones.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw an opportunity to potentially make some money.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets a chisel and hammer and he starts carving into these stones.
They're fake.
Except the big brains don't know which ones are fake and which ones are real. Because you've got these ones where you're like, I don't know. I mean, this dude's really fishy. These markings are really sketchy. And then we have these ones that were found by other people and they don't look the same as these. These ones are in a slightly different condition. These people have complied and told us where these stones are. We don't know. We're just gonna do what we do with all things that we don't know what it is or what to do with it. It got shoved on a shelf in a basement somewhere, and nobody made any determination as to whether or not they were real or fake because the big brain community was like, we don't know. They're looking at
Well,
them
I feel
as
your
a
brain
whole.
size went down a little bit by not being able to tell, like, this one was just done and these markings are hundreds of years old.
Well, see, that's just it. They couldn't tell because the rocks were weathered, you know. Um, and at that time, they didn't have the imaging technology that we have now to be able to look
Right.
into it and be like, okay, the depth of this mark, has gone this far. We can see the weathering, at this point, this point, this point. You know what I mean? They can't do that back then in the 30s because it's the Great Depression. Everybody was trying to find a way to make money. And they weren't looking at the stones individually. They were looking at the stones as a group,
Mm.
as the entire set. Is the entire set real? And that's where you had some that were like, well, yeah, these stones are real, definitely. And then you got others that are like, but these stones aren't real. We can't say it's all real.
Yeah.
Exactly. Someone didn't have the big brain idea of, hey, let's separate them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, not some big brains now. However, this is where the gentleman Fred Willard comes in. He is collecting all of these different pieces from various communities, and he's got a map of Governor John White that is from the 1500s. And he's seeing things on this map in relation to Roanoke. And they're like, okay, well, we can see we've got this here. And this is where the first stone was found. So they start to do some more big brain things. And he decides that he's going to have expert stonemason brothers come in. This is the Vilas brothers. And so they take the stones and they get them imaged with, current technology. And this is where they're able to determine that the 41 stones were done by a chisel and hammer. And it was actually entirely purely by accident. They were trying to recreate the tool marks that they were seeing to determine what tools were used and if it would correlate with tools that were used at the time.
Okay.
And so, like, they were trying drill press and things like that, but they could only use things that would be easily carryable, because these people are on the move. And so it needs to be something that they can easily move from one location to another and yet still have time to carve onto stones.
Right.
So by happenstance, the one brother is getting so irritated and so frustrated because he can't do what he's trying to do with the tools that he has, which was make a little pocketing um, thing, like little round pockets, like you can see the divots, like moons.
Hmm.
He couldn't do it. And so then he gets out, other tools, and then he's got the chisel and hammer, and he's like, oh, he's like, I got it. And then they see certain tool marks on certain rocks to determine, okay, these ones were done by a chisel and hammer. These ones are done by this tool. These ones do not have the weathering that these ones have. These are all fake.
Okay.
So all of the stones that Everhart had found weren't officially scientifically declared fakes in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. In 1939 or 40, I believe it was, there had been a huge scandal in relation to that guy and various people at the which college was it? Emory. Yeah. So not a little known college. I mean, it's fairly well known. But the professor over there, which was Haywood Pierce, he figured out at one point that there was no way that Everhart could be finding all of these stones and that he had to be making them.
Yeah.
But Everhart was like, okay. He's like, you can stop accepting them and you can stop paying me. But if you do, I'm going to declare that I made all of them and all of your stones will be fake.
Good Lord.
Yep. It was a whole scandal. And that was another part of why they got put on the shelf. So, yeah. Um, it was a whole back and forth thing as far as which ones were real, which ones were fake. Because at one point, Eberhardt's like, no, mine are 100% real. Those are 100% fake. Um, so Fred Willard is like, let's do right by these stones. He has that imaging done, and once the stonemasons determine these ones are fake, these ones are real, they decide that they need to bring in another professional. Um, oh shoot. Sorry. Before they bring in the professional, like they're looking at the writing on it and they're like, yeah, we don't understand this shit. Basically, is what happened. But they do have the location. Um, and the first stone was found 50 miles inland off the bank of the Chowan River in Edenton, North Carolina.
Okay.
And that specific map that I had mentioned of Governor White's has also been put under microscope and special imaging and things like that. Within the map is a patch, and underneath the patch is a fort. And it is believed that fort is where the original colony started. The 115 people who originally went were there. This fort is 3.5 miles away from where the first stone was found.
Okay.
And so at one point they do go to the location to look at it, but I'll get to that later. So they bring in a English professor. Sorry, 1 second. Gotta find his name. This is what happens when you screw up your notes. You end up sitting here going dirt. Oh, okay. Dr. Quimby, a professor of early and modern English from Oxford. Because they're looking at one stone and it says, Father, soon after you go for England, we came hither. Above dead are ere 2 year more from sickness, being 4 and 20. And basically they went, yep, that sounds old. We don't understand that.
Yeah.
So professor comes in, he's looking at it. He determines that it is, in fact, the proper English that was spoken 400 years earlier of the Elizabethan time. He's also looking at the way that the writing is done. So, not so much the words that are being said, or sorry, the story being told, but the words that are actually used in the telling. Mhm. Do you know what a subscript E is?
I do
It's
not.
okay. So the professor is looking at the rocks and he sees the word ye, except it looks a little different. It is a Y with an E up on the corner versus down on like the line of where it would ordinarily be.
Right.
And he's looking at it and he's like, you know what? This is telling me that whoever did this was someone who worked in print or who, was a scribe or did a lot of writing, things like that, because it was very specific to those few trades
Okay.
of that time. Which, if you're a stonemason, you're doing writing, you have to know how to write the proper phrases.
Hmm.
He decides that with this ye, it is 100% authentic.
Okay.
And he also says that the ye is not being used correctly, or rather, is not being translated correctly. When it was originally looked at, they were seeing the ye as in you, and it was being read as you savages, but it was actually used as the word the. So instead, it was supposed to say the savages. And yeah, like I said, it was something that was very specific to writers, scribes, printers, and things like that. Dr. Q even goes on to state that whoever the hoaxer is, they have done such a magnificent job that they have even out hoaxed the professors.
Damn.
Because if they would have noticed it, they would have known right away that it was real and that the others were fake. Because there was none of those in the additional stones.
Okay.
It was just written as ye, not as the subscript E. up top.
Okay.
So that was one of the things that he used to help determine which ones were real, which ones were fake. There was no subscript E in the Everhart stones.
Okay.
Uh, do, 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 do. So they decide the first Dare stone, it's real. What does it say? It talks about a great massacre and about how there's this plague. Everybody gets sick. Basically, anyone who is not killed in the massacre dies in the plague. And there are only 7 people remaining from the 115 who were
Yeah.
dropped off.
Talk about the first ever survivor.
Right? Um, so, and also on this stone, she references a headstone, which is supposed to have the names of all of the people who died in the battle, and that it is placed where they are buried. However, to my knowledge, that stone was never found.
Okay.
Um, Also on that stone, it talks about. Hold on. Let me find the right spot here. On the stone is the sign of a cross in one corner. And it has Ananias Dare and Virginia Dare went hence into heaven 1951. At the bottom, it says, any Englishman show John White, Governor, Virginia. And it also states how they were attacked by an Indian group and that they didn't know which one it was. There was islands along the coast, and basically there was little pockets of different tribes all
Okay.
over. One of the tribes was the Croatoans. However, it's unknown whether or not the Croatoans helped or harmed.
Gotcha.
It is stated, though, that oh shoot, I forgot. I don't think I wrote that part. How she's basically leaving these markers to show John where to go so that he can follow them. And when you look at the location of where the different stones are found on a map, it is very clear that they are heading like to the south, to move away from the coast for the winter,
Okay.
essentially. And that some native tribe has taken them in and is trying to help them, or they were kidnapped.
Okay. So
But
no clear
if you're
answer.
if you're kidnapped, how are you gonna write a huge message on a stone that's this freaking big?
Yeah. I would say that was more they were helping. Maybe.
Exactly. And so that's kind of where the theory leads. But remember how I said that the first stone was found 50 miles from the one town, and it was actually only 3.5 miles from this little hidden fort.
Mm-hmm.
They go out to this location and discover it's riddled with old pottery and arrowheads. And you can actually see bits of old structures and things like that stuck in the ground.
Oh wow.
And it was determined that it was a very large Native American settlement. With the way that it was left, it was like they had left in a hurry, and it is believed that they are the ones who took the people from Roanoke and took them south.
Okay.
Unfortunately, though, it does not mention what tribe it was.
That would probably be more helpful.
Mm-hmm. There is other groups who have looked further into it, as far as that location, the fort, and things like that. And I don't know if they go into the Dare Stones themselves, but I think that's where the Curse of Oak Island and those different things come from, is from the landings
Yeah.
in those different locations. Because yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the location gets dug up.
Ooh.
So, but I didn't want to get into all of those aspects. I just wanted to get into that little aspect. So
Like that.
I thought it was very interesting. And how messed up is it that we still don't truly know? Like, where's the rest of these stones? How is it she never left any other clue for her family? You
Right.
know? However, in 2012, there was a commission done that did genetic testing of various tribes throughout the United States. I don't know about Mexico or Canada, to look for DNA of those 115 settlers.
Oh, okay. Shit.
So there is a good possibility that, and it was 2012. It's going to take a while. That's a lot of,
Yeah.
so I don't know at this point if anything ever came from that, but that was done. So
Okay.
it was
Like,
very interesting. And I would love for the History Channel to continue to do more on it.
yeah, some updates.
Right? I was so mad when I couldn't find more. I was like, damn you, History Channel. But I can't get rid of it because I'm obsessed with History Channel.
Yeah. Roy used to be obsessed with the History Channel when we had cable. And when Buddy was learning alphabet, it was never H. It was A, B, C, D, E, F, G, History Channel.
I love it.
Because that's what Roy had on all the time. And I'd be like, can we just watch something else? Just something mindless for a little bit. That'd be great. Oh, shit. I gotta go make gravy.
Ooh, okay. Well, on that note, hope you
Well,
had fun.
welcome back.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay.